Over the span of millennia, the fundamentals of human communication and the evolution of media can be seen in a number of different inventions. From our ancient cave drawings to our current age of information, our ways of communications have changed drastically. Media influences our lives and actions in many ways, and over the centuries, it has been a source of entertainment, education, freedom, and propaganda. Starting in the ancient world, where our ancestors communicated through mesmerizing cave paintings that date back as far as 40,000 years ago. They utilized ochre to create this, and these paintings are our oldest form of mass communication and have withstood the test of time. Art is by far our oldest form of communication, with it taking another 37,000 years for humankind to develop the most rudimentary forms of writing, which took form in Mesopotamia. Cuneiform, pictured here, was created in a region of Mesopotamia, today known as Iraq, the oldest of which is found to be over 3,500 years old, and it is our oldest form of writing. The next major invention of ancient times was the invention of block printing by the Chinese. The earliest surviving examples date back from China before 220 AD and are the earliest attempts by humans to replicate media and information on a larger scale. Block printing occurred by taking a block which represented several pages or one page worth of information, doused it in ink, and pressed onto a sheet of paper or fabric, depending on what was available at that time. Next came the Renaissance, which was a period characterized by an explosion of creativity and knowledge, with many artists and prominent inventors emerging during this time, such as Leonardo da Vinci. Inventions of the time had their widespread effects on the scale of the Gutenberg press. The Gutenberg press was invented in the 1500s, during which it played a pivotal role in breaking the monopoly on knowledge held by the elite. During the time, only the rich had the time to be educated, and very few could read prior to this. Before the press, books were painstakingly copied by hand, making them rare and expensive. With the printing press, books became more accessible to broader audiences and helped better educate the world. One of the most early and notable works created with the press was the Gutenberg Bible, which marked the beginning of a new era of communication in the world. At the turn of the 19th century, many different inventors were scrambling for a faster and more efficient way of communicating around the world. At the time, the fastest was mail held by horseback. Many different telegraphs took form at the turn of the century. However, few had any success, with the first actual example of a successful and widely available telegraph being created by Samuel Morse. It was functional and was created in 1844, and it became widely popular as the first form of instant communication. Overnight, the nation transformed, able now to carry out messages from coast to coast in a fraction of the time once required, forever changing the world and allowing news to travel faster than ever before. Our world became far more connected than ever before. Move forward into the 19th century, the age of print emerged. Newspapers and magazines became powerful mediums, shaping public opinion and fostering a sense of community. Education became gradually more prominent. With an ever-growing literate population, newspaper had the power to reach a broad audience. This accessibility marked a shift in the way people received information, making news and knowledge more readily available to diverse segments of society. Local newspapers, in particular, served as a vital link between neighbors, reporting on local events, issues, and achievements, or even things such as the obituaries or advertisements. A sense of connectedness strengthened community bonds and contributed to the social fabric of towns and upcoming cities. Magazines served a far more opinionated and direct approach to specific audiences than newspapers during this time. Magazines covered a wide array of subjects from literature and science to fashion and entertainment, offering readers opportunities to explore diverse topics and help further educate the American public. Typically, specific magazines would concentrate on specific topics, such as business magazines or fashion. At the same time, the invention of photography introduced a visual narrative, adding depth to storytelling. From the early days of black and white film to the modern era of digital sensors, photography has undergone significant technological advances. The power of photography cannot be understated. Since then, governments, people, and corporations have used photography to influence the masses, whether it was to advertise in the purpose of propaganda, or just for fun. The 20th century was a time marked by significant technological development. At the turn of the century, we weren't even able to fly. By 1969, we had a man on the moon. And by the end of the century, we are able to send messages and images and videos and download off of the internet. Dominated the start of the 20th century, but fell from the spotlight when the visual revolution took center stage with the invention of television. The dawn of radio further connected people globally, bringing news and entertainment into households like never before. The first commercial radio station in the U.S. was KDKA in Pittsburgh. Began regular broadcasting in 1920, and it was a race to the airways from then on. Before television came around, people would often tune into their favorite radio station to hear stories, news, and music. Music, however, didn't become as popular until the invention of television, because it was thought that putting your new music on the radio would decrease record sales. During World War II, radios brought news from the front lines to the American public and also allowed soldiers to keep in touch with the rest of the world. Radio, with its decreasing popularity, had to adjust at the turn of the century to stay alive and compete with TV. So, they continued to create things such as American Top 40 and also increased the number of advertisements during their broadcasting. The first television was demonstrated by Philo Farnsworth in 1927, but it wasn't until the 1939 New York World's Fair where the first public broadcast occurred. In the post-war era, families gathered around the TV instead of the radio, set to watch news, entertainment, and sporting events. Television became a cultural phenomenon in the following decade, influencing society and shaping how we perceive the world. Television gave us the ability to watch important world events unfold before our eyes, just as the fall of the Berlin Wall or the moon landing. Or Vietnam, the first publicly televised war, which changed public opinion greatly. Companies and governments utilized television to advertise and influence the masses via programs and commercials. Viewers now have the ability to choose which channels they want to watch with greater freedom than ever before, causing people to watch programs that align with their existing beliefs. This effective media has led to greater divides in our nation, and companies and governments continue to use this to target specific groups of the public. Then came the digital and information age, marked by instant transmission of text, books, movies, television, and music. We now had everything at our fingertips. The emergence of the internet broke down barriers and transformed how we access information. As we enter the 21st century, the internet, once a novelty, was now become an integral part of every person's life. Now humans could instantly be in contact with anyone, anywhere, anytime. Digital platforms and streaming services redefined how we consume media, giving us unprecedented control over our own content. We can now watch any movie or television show when we want, however many times we want. The digital age propelled our world into an uncharted territory. The rise of social media in recent decades has further revolutionized communication, making us our own active participants in the media landscape. Smartphones are now universal and changing the way we interact with information. Children are being exposed to media at younger ages, with younger generations growing up on tablets and phones and computers. This generation has been exposed to more media and technology than any generation prior, and the effects of this are yet to be seen. Additionally, the negative effects of social media have been sweeping effects on body image and mental health amongst youth. And here are my credits and references.